Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Idol Master News podcast, where we update you on every relevant content that has been shown and given off for the Idol Master series for all branches. And we have a special kind of show for you today. You may notice that it's a lot more sooner than what we would usually have. We usually do shows every month or so, but we have a couple of changes that we'd like to discuss for today. But first off, let me just say a warm welcome to my two co-hosts, Cho
Good morning.
and Metal.
Heyo.
And just like I discussed, we're going to change up a couple of things here on the show. But before I do that, I would like to give a heartfelt apology to everyone who was looking forward to the past show. I royally screwed up the audio on that one. That was all me. I recently moved to a new place. I recently moved over to a completely different city, and I had to put up a studio that was just vastly different from the usual setup I usually had. None of my mics were working properly. I got all the things in different setups and different volume, frequencies, and everything was just not optimal. But now we're optimal, and it should be fine. I did a couple of tests to make sure that people don't get, people can actually listen to this thing. So we're gonna set up the episodes like we usually do. And second of all, like we said, there's gonna be some changes to the show. Usually what we do is we set up the show to have it at the end of every month. We decided to have the show end at July and June, or June and July, because it was a couple of a really jam-packed moment for Idol Masters, so we kind of waited for that to happen first, all of that to happen first, and then we did the show. But now what we're going to do is every time or every other week or so that there's going to be big Idol Master news, like the ones we have now, we're going to do the show. And we want you to be as updated as possible, because if we talk about certain topics when they're no longer relevant, it just kind of loses the point. You want to know about a couple of things, especially with some of the things we're going to talk about later on the show. You want to know them as soon as possible so that you don't get left out. But without further ado...
We also need those sweet YouTube bucks so that we could stay relevant.
Oh, come on.
Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Drop 5 stars. Oh, wait, I'm too old.
God damn it. Anyway, without further ado, we're going to start the show. This one's not going to be as long as the previous episode, for sure, because, because the last episode was definitely talking about 15th anniversary, all the big bam boom, the fireworks, and everything. This one's not going to be as jam-packed, because for the most part, we're only going to be talking about 3 branches today in particular, because Namco Pro and Million Live, they're kind of taking a back seat. They're not there was not a lot of things to do. We could sort of discuss Tint Me, but that's just regular event stuff. There's nothing too spectacular on the Namco side. So we're going to talk about more things concerning Shiny Colors, SideM, and CG today. So if for anyone who was expecting Namco news, there wasn't really a lot going on. So we decided to just maybe not opt out of it. Just to save some time, because, people know that a 2-hour and 30-minute podcast, it shouldn't be the norm.
It really shouldn't, unless
you really like driving to us, which I am not opposed to.
Yes, yeah.
I'll have to say. And it's really good for a car ride.
All right, so let's straight and dive into it. We're going to talk about one of the meatiest subjects first, just to let people pick up some speed already. There's the 5th anniversary just got wrapped up. It's kind of winding down now. It still has some of the campaigns going. It still has some bonuses going. There are still some free pulls left. But for the most part, There's the 5th anniversary has done all it's need to do. We just had the event close up for Go Just Go. The carnival's done. And there were a lot of things that genuinely, before I get into the specifics, I think that a lot of people can genuinely agree that this year's anniversary was a lot better than the previous one. Does anybody have any input about that? Because I certainly have my own, but I was thinking if other people agreed.
I don't really have much of an opinion, because I wasn't really following DST very well in 2019. So I can't really compare the other two. I mean, heck, I'd never even heard True Colors in my life, but I was actually somewhat involved in the 5th anniversary. So I can at least say this one's good, but I say it's good in a vacuum. I can't really make a comparison because I don't know anything about last year's.
Okay, so what I mainly got from last year's was, last year was definitely a very, very, it's kind of so we call CG a sort of a hit or miss part of Idolmaster, but last year really was the hit or miss year. Like you had a couple of really big ones, but then you also had a couple of like really, really low notes, and that's what 2019 CG felt more like to fans. But this year, I can definitely see that they were really putting more stuff into it. And by that, I mean all the stuff that they had for 5th Anniv this year, because last year all they had was like a commercial, like, you know, the real life commercial that they had featuring celebrities, and that's it. Like everything gets that. But this year, not only did they opt for a completely unique Anniv song, because, you know, True Colors was widely regarded as like very unremarkable. Like it tries to do the things that SideM and Million Live do when it comes to like the emotional, you know, unity, all one kind of anthem song, and it didn't really do that all well. So what they did this time is that they tried to do a little more fun, you know, a little more creative 5th anniversary song with, it's just, you know, just trying to have fun. So that's mainly what Go Just Go, which is the anniversary song for the 5th anniversary. That's what they did, and along with that, they had several commercials featuring different idols that were featured on the Anniv unit. So you had a commercial that had Ryamu and Miyu, and then you also had one with Shiki in it, you know, lips in general. You had a commercial with Natalia and everything and whatnot. So these commercials were animated by Cloverworks, if I'm not mistaken. It was Cloverworks because now the A1 part that's animating Idolmaster moved over to Cloverworks. I think it's like an A1 thing in general, where they all moved over to Cloverworks.
Cloverworks is essentially a rebranded A1 subsidiary.
Right, there we go. So the A1 subsidiary that used to work on Idolmaster, you know, for SideM Annie, CG Annie, you know, 765 Annie, I think they all moved over to Cloverworks. The PV looks great. If you remember the anniversary PV that Million Live used to get for Grimas, that is what is here. They have PVs for like the entire song, and then there's like 16-second PVs for commercials, which are absolutely well animated. Every single one of them is gorgeous.
Can we get this every year from now on?
This should be a standard. This really should be a standard for all branches. It looks really good. Everything is great. The song is really fun. It's by Takue Nue, if I'm not mistaken. The god Takue Nue, who is going to be relevant for another topic we're going to talk about down the line. Yeah, Hidekazu Tanaka and Takue Nue made this song. And again, a lot of people have the sentiment that when CG tries to do the same Emoi, you know, very emotional, sentimental thing that other branches do, they just kind of like don't do it as well. So that's why I really think that this is the correct choice for CG by making just a really fun song that's just about being fun, and, you know, they don't really have to be stick in theme. They can do that other ways. What else was great about CG 5th anniversary was that so from the other branches, they did something like they streamed. So for Million Live, they streamed things like all the 1st and 5th lives over the course of June. And then they did stuff like, you know, Remote Thank You, and then SideM did stuff like Remote Pride Star. This time, CG showed off 24 whole hours, like literally around the clock, 24 hours of content that was streamed for free. This is the most important part. For free on the Idolmaster channel. Yep, on YouTube. This was not region restricted. This was not, you know, you didn't need to sign up. You didn't need to be a player of CGSS. You didn't need to have like some Asobi Store premium pass. You can just go over to the YouTube channel. It's streaming. Click on that video and you can watch it. And this stream, this stream had so much content to it. Like there was something there for everyone. Like a lot of people, when they saw like the Million Live Anniv stream for all the lives and whatnot, yeah, it was great, but not everyone is like a live person, right? Like not everyone is interested in lives. That's why the advantage that CG had was that they had something for everyone. You had a cooking stream, which actually tore my sides apart after they did very, very unforgivable things to a blender. They also had bingo. Bingo, that was something that, you know, people could like just, you know, camp around and check your cards. Ooh, dude, look, I just need this idol. Dude, I'm just waiting for Arisu. Dude, I just need Aiko. Yeah, bingo was really fun. Lots of ways to, you know, give freebies. And then another part of the stream was when like they were having like in real life challenges where depending on how many songs that the staff would get FC, you would get gems out of it. And then there was the performing part. Now, this is one of the more interesting parts of the 24-hour stream for me, where they had performances in different ways. They had two, if I'm not mistaken, either 2 or 3 performance segments where it was, one of them was the DJ segment that was headlined by DJ Ku and Sasaki Chiyo, who is the voice actor for Komei, who, if you don't know, is also a DJ. She
And we also had Taku Inoue in there.
Taku Inoue as well. DJ Ku, Taku Inoue, and Sasaki Chiyo were headlining the DJ section. Probably one of the best actual online performances regarding the DJ segments. Totally not related to another Bandai Namco series we're going to talk about soon. And then right after that, they had an AR live. They had an AR, so it's not exactly alternate reality. So what they had here is different from what MR stage is. So for those of you who aren't familiar, MR stage, or mixed reality stage, is it is a way for the All-Stars to perform using the avatars of the All-Stars characters. Like, it's not Akiko Hatsukawa or Eriko Nakamura, it's Hoshi Miki and Haruka Amami. So that's what the All-Stars had. But the one that they had in Bokura no Idol Fair, which was the performing segment of CG for this 24-hour Magic stream, was literally an AR stage with the girls on it, like the actual girls. And one of the best things, if you ask me, about this segment was that they let the new girls perform. Like, if it was just classic Shiki, Kaede, all the other girls, we've seen them all before. But in this time of pandemic, where these girls were not allowed to perform just yet because they're new voices. Because they're new voices, they don't have any experience yet performing, and it's sort of like killing two birds in one stone, where you're trying to let them perform in a more secure place, not in front of thousands of people so they won't get stage fright, which Lord knows has happened before if you've been a follower of the lives. And at the same time, it's letting people get to see them, because they haven't seen them before. It's their first time, voice actors like the voice actors for Kozue and Yukimi, voice actors for Reina, you got freaking, Ryamu and everything. All those other characters who have not been able to perform live just yet, now had a chance to get a taste. And it also showed off Bandai Namco's, specialty in online entertainment now, which they seem to be hinting to work on. They've been trying to drop hints that they're working on alternate reality entertainment, which I think is great if they manage to refine this, because they have things like Music Dawn and Digitheater coming up. If they manage to refine these forms of entertainment moving forward, I think they have something special on their hands.
Oh yeah, it's especially going to be nice for other series like Denonbu, as we were alluding to. Denonbu is pretty much running off of virtual lives. And especially during this pandemic, I feel like this is going to be the best case scenario for people that want to go to lives, especially for people that can't go to Japan, because travel is very, very limited right now, especially if you're in the United States. So it's really nice to have this avenue where you can watch a live from the comfort of your own home.
Yeah. So 24-hour Magic stream, probably one of the best things they've done currently in terms of CG anniversary celebrations. What else? There was a Twitter campaign where you get to tweet out a certain idol and win up to 55,000 gems in it. There was the bingo, which again, I can't stress how fun that stuff was. And then what else was okay? Some other thing that I want to talk about CG Fifth was the whole idea that Gekijo has been playing a big part in how content has been, leading up to where it is right now. Gekijo has been very, very core in terms of distributing content to idols that don't really get other avenues. And this is mostly known as what people call the lower tier of idol girls in CG, where they have a voice, but they're just not given much. You got characters like Yukari, you have characters like Emi, and outside of Starlight Stage, they really didn't have a chance to move forward. So this is a way for them to keep going. But what I think is really special about Gekijo is that there's a lot of places that can be surprises. You can have a lot of surprises in Gekijo. Lord knows that there have been a couple of times that people have had voices come to their favorite girl from Gekijo. And I think one of the longest running problems of CG is just content distribution. And content distribution can be solved in a multitude of ways, but not all of them are plausible, but Gekijo is one of the biggest things helping that.
At the very least, it's a very good way of giving idols that usually don't get anything something.
Yes, exactly. Like anything is appreciated at this point. Like literally anything is appreciated at this point. Especially now that we're putting up with like characters that are sort of being pushed in the limelight a lot quicker than other characters. Like I'll be a devil's advocate and say that Yukimi is being treated way better than most like newly voiced characters. And I'm very happy for that. They gave Kozue and Yukimi a song like quite snappily after they got voiced. Like usually after you win a voice, it kind of takes you a long while to get something that's not on the election CD. But Kozue and Yukimi, within like, what's it, like 2 to 3 months, they immediately got like that song after participating in the election song. So I'm really happy for that. And if they continue this moving forward, it's going to be really good for those people who are unvoiced Ps. Those guys deserve rights too. Hell knows how many freaking voting packs they bought just to be able to vote for freaking Tsukasa and Akari and Akira and all those other voiced girls. So
Yeah, I was going to say, the Kozue Yukimi selection certainly seemed it was right up your particular alley, Renn.
yeah, I mean, I've been voting for Yukimi for 5 years. Yeah, I've been voting for Yukimi for 5 years. So if people want to tell me that I haven't, like I've been trying to bandwagon on Yukimi, I definitely have not. I know a lot of Kozue Ps who are just like happy that she's finally voiced now, and that because Kozue and Yukimi have been actually like showing up way more recently, and it's kind of like having your efforts be returned. And I hope that all unvoiced Ps could like experience this eventually, especially to the Nanami Ps out there. We're still rooting for you. We haven't forgotten about you. We're still rooting for you.
Show your account right now to prove you're not bandwagoning.
What? What, my Mobile Moss account?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Maybe I'll get you a screenshot sometime, but whatever. The point is, CG is taking steps to increase its content distribution within not just girls that are having a hard time having an appearance, but girls that are trying to show up. Because, you know, we already talked about Joker featuring unvoiced idols in their MVs. And speaking of MVs, I think we haven't touched upon the special fact about Go Just Go, where 190 girls were given a special appeal. When you get to the appeal part, or like the special part where the girl walks up to the front and then she does something, and it's different for every girl.
That's a very thing to do.
Yeah, that's a very, like, you know, we didn't expect this here in CG. Because, you know, that usually show up in Million Live, that usually show up in SideM, where everyone's unique, and there's like, the cast is small enough to have everything customized, but they did really go out of their way to, like, even if it's 190 girls, they'll still give everyone something unique. So this really does feel like more thought out an anniversary celebration than last year's for sure. Because I've heard a lot of things about last year's celebration. Not a lot of them were positive, but this one I've only heard positive things. Especially since people like, you know, people really like the costume. You can customize the costume a lot. You can either have it be open midriff or have it be 1 year, one-piece dress. You know, you can just customize it whatever you want. And then, yeah, I think there's just, overall, it's like jam-packed. They wanted to make sure that it didn't feel as bland as last year. So
now, to rewind for a second, when we were talking about the AR lives, we mentioned that some of the newer idols got to sing, but what songs did we actually have on the set list for the AR live?
Okay, so I wasn't there for all of it, but I knew we had I think we had Fascinate.
We have Fascinate, Okuri Mono Sunday, Beat Shooter. I'm reading the chat as it goes on.
Okay, we also had Brain Nanjo for sure, because someone posted a picture of it. And then we have, like, it's basically more of the more recent girls. If you can think of whoever was there, they definitely were there, because they didn't really have, like, a chance to perform these live just yet. Like, I imagine that that's what most of these AR lives are going to do, like, when we get to the other branches. The songs that were not given a chance to be performed yet will be given priority, because we've already heard What's Its Face. We've already heard, like, Jet to the Future Forever. We've already heard, like, you know, all those other songs for a lot of times. But these new songs... yeah, we got a tropical version of Onegai Cinderella. That's another one. Completely brand new. You've heard it first on that one. Yeah, we didn't get any solos, but I really feel like letting the group songs that were not performed recently and giving them priority is like one of the better parts because these girls haven't performed yet, so giving them priority is better. So, apart from that, the CG 5th anniversary is wrapping up, as I said. We're going to have campaigns and free rolls last a little longer. We're now currently on a Cinderella Road event, which is basically like, because like once you hit a Cinderella Road event, it's like saying, okay, everyone slow down. We've already got all the hype we wanted. We're gonna hit back on the brakes for a bit, and then we'll ramp it up again. Because they also announced that November will have a stream for Mobile Masu itself. Because this one's a Starlight Stage stream. They're going to have another stream for Mobile Masu itself on November. So look forward to that. There might be news about next year's election, maybe, if they're going to keep the format or if they're going to change the format.
I feel like they'd probably announce that kind of stuff closer to 2021 than in November.
If they would, I just hope they keep the format. I think this format works a lot better.
I feel like, absolutely. I feel like what they're probably going to announce is the next batch of Cinderella Masters. They're probably going to announce the next SRs for the event, for upcoming events, SSRs, 9th anniversary celebrations, stuff like that.
9th? Is it already the 10th for them? It's the 10th for them, right?
10th is next year.
Oh, right. So maybe they're just not going to, they're going to hold it off until like the next voting series comes up. But again, I want them to keep the voting format this for 2021, especially because, since this year's voting was like, we weren't really expecting anything. Like, like the hype was already solved from the moment the contest even started. Like, there wasn't really much to look forward to. We already know who was going to win. So it was kind of boring on that front. But this year, 2021, is definitely going to be more interesting. Like, who's going to, like, there's a lot of people, like, it's going to be a race for the throne now. You have Shiki, Fumika, Mayu, those 5 who are always there. Like it's free game. I guess they're gonna use now as like a big reason to vote for because Triad Primus has to get in there. That's what they're gonna use as the driving force for voting for now. But apart from that, I hope they keep the current voting format because that's a way better voting format than any voting format we've ever had.
It also benefits multiple people.
Yeah, it benefits multiple people. Again, I've said unvoiced idols, content distribution. They got to keep that up so that we can really, really, not separate them as like, here are the voiced Ps and this is the rights you have. Here are the unvoiced Ps and these are the rights you have. No. We're all just one. We're all one place. Yeah. So, apart from that, is there anything else about CG that we want to cover until we move to the next topic?
Not entirely. I'm pretty sure we covered pretty much everything aside from e-releases.
The CD releases, yeah. We're gonna talk about that in general, because that's it. The CD releases are like there's gonna be a segment we're gonna talk about CD releases in general because that's more of like a all branch thing.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so if we're done with CG, I think we're going to move on to one of the more interesting developments for a branch. It's not exactly big and like celebratory, but there are a couple of points here that I want to talk about. But for the points that I can't talk about in detail, I'm going to pass it over to Cho for our regular Shiny segment. For Shiny, we got a couple of things that's both like in terms of the game, and one of those is the UI changes and what they mean for the game moving forward. I'd also like to talk about card development because we've taken a look at the Mamimi. We know what it's done. We know what it does. And apart from the UI changes, there was also one more change to the game that I think he'd like to talk about. So go ahead, To.
Sure. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start with the UI updates. So the first thing that they did, which I think is absolutely appreciated for people that have been playing for a long while, is that we can now have up to 20 different preset teams at any given moment, which is increased from 10. So being able to have way more team options is going to be a lot more useful to people that, say, like, have very specific true end builds that they have to keep rebuilding because then they have to use that vocal build to build something else or whatever. So there's a lot of free real estate, essentially, for people, and that applies to both produce mode and fest mode. So now you can have up to 20 different teams at any given moment for whatever needs you might have for fests. It's going to be pretty useful. Absolutely appreciated because I definitely found myself running out of space with certain teams or felt like I didn't have a lot of room to experiment because I didn't want to break up whatever teams I had. So that's all well and good. They've also done some like very small like color coordination, so you can see the difference between your produce idol, support idol, and the guest idol. So now produce idols have a pink background, support idols have a blue background, and guest have green. So just very small changes to that. They also now let you have a simplified version of all your teams. As long as you press one of the buttons on the upper section, you'll be able to swap it from full display to very basic, just so that if you just need a very quick and rough summary of whatever your team is doing right now, you can get that as well. Very useful for screen capping. You can also name your teams now, which is also super nice.
Yeah,
that was something I've been asking for a while.
For sure.
It's kind of weird that you couldn't name teams at launch, considering that other branches allow you to do that
from the start of the game.
For real. Now I can label it and make sure I know exactly what in the world's going on with my teams, instead of just shifting through it and be like, okay, was this team, was number 9 this one, was number 6 my true end team? I don't remember. But now I don't have to remember.
Now I can finally put Trogdor in shiny.
Yup.
We're going to burn an 8 grade fest. That's what we're going to do.
They also added a feature that I've been sort of asking for as well, which is that you can now copy units. So if there's any particular setup that you enjoy and you want to use it on a different slot and replace it with something else later, there's just a very quick and easy, just copy-paste it. Very, very useful. I think that's great.
I really like the copy unit thing. The copy unit thing, especially if you run like the 5 girl units. Hello, Antika, HCG. Like you're not gonna go over to each unit, set the 5 characters again, and then go for the other one. Like for 5 girls, like for the other girls, like yeah, I do it 3 times. But for Antika and HCG, all you gotta do is just copy, boom, make a few changes, you're done.
Mm-hmm. Last major UI change that we had was that the Fest screen itself now has been condensed slightly. So they've pushed all the stats into a smaller bubble, and they have moved the Fest selection button to right next to the stats as opposed to right on top. I know for people where Japanese is not their strong suit, there was a lot of issues of not being sure which button you actually wanted to click, because you had all 3 buttons right next to each other, with one being the shop,
Yeah.
The other being the actual Fest selection that you wanted, and then the other being the Fest rewards. So for people being like, hey, what button do I have to press? Well, now you know, because it's the really, really big button.
Right next to the other really, really big button.
Yeah, the big purple button.
It also really helps because, like, UI updates, they're definitely done for something. If I was to say anything about UI updates are there because either the players or the developers knew that something was not working, or that something something about the experience just isn't like flowing the way they wanted to. And maybe they might have actually gotten this market data because there are more players playing, hence more people to notice, maybe this button shouldn't be here, or this is a little confusing to look at. Like, the fact that they have this market data now makes me think that they're a little more responsive to what players are talking about, or they're just thinking ahead, which either case is fine.
Now, the only thing I think I would change at this point, if there's like one last UI thing I'd like to see, can we get that like 4-grid, all buttons button available in Fest?
Oh, yeah, that one.
It makes it a little awkward if you want to do your daily rotation, of do your Fest, buy an item at the shop, raise your idol, because you have to use, you have to make sure that you go back to go all the way to the main menu in order to go back to the shop or go back to training, whereas you don't have to do that if you start at the shop.
Which can get annoying, like, actually get annoying.
Like, that's just first world problems for me personally, and I'm sure there's probably at least somebody else listening to this that go, yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
I mean, any problem is something that they could solve. Not like, I remember the motto being, no problem is too small.
That is very fair. Now, here's the one that Renn has been talking about as we shift away from the UI updates. We are getting a store update.
Yes.
Now, the update is obviously not live at the time of this recording. You'll be able to expect it by September 30th, I believe was the date. They will be updating the Memorial Shop. Now, for those who are unfamiliar or don't know it by name, the Memorial Shop is effectively you sell duplicate units that you do not need anymore to receive fragments based off of what rarity they are. So you get blue/gray fragments for rares, gold fragments for SRs, and rainbow fragments for SSRs. Well, it used to be that the Memorial Shop only sold you various things such as like training tickets, and the big commodity items were Hazukis. Hazukis act as a free duplicate for any unit that you have, so if there was any unit that you wanted to buff up a little bit, it was always a good idea to save up those pieces to buy from Hazuki. Well, now they're giving us something extra to buy. The gold fragments are going to include SSR tickets, guaranteed SSR tickets at that, as well as an item that you may have only seen from Idle Road, which is the Max Bond Charm. Max Bond Charm, when you take it to a run, will always guarantee an event that will guarantee your memory will be maxed out. So for people who have been struggling with those missions for Idle Road, you're now going to have a much easier way to access it. As for the bronze pieces, they will now be able to be exchanged for SR tickets as well as 10-roll tickets. Though the 10-roll ticket still has the same fault it's always had, which is that it doesn't count towards sparks on banners, but we take what you can get.
So this is something that I know that's a stinker, but this is something that I really think is going to be focal to the movement of the game forward. I've said it over here, both on the server and on any platform people can follow me on, that this is going to be important for the longevity of how people will play and manage their resources, because there are a lot of things that people can do with spare resources, and trading them in for SR Hazuki tickets is not one of them. That's not worth it. That's just not worth it. You're just gonna, like, the reward is not there. The profit ratio is super bad with the current choices that we have. These ones, while not exactly what we wanted, they're a big step over, or they're a big step towards having a good resource ratio. I've said it before where, Theater Days has spoiled me where their dupe system is like almost perfect. I just say almost because fest stones are a thing, but it's a lot better than most things that I would consider to be in some of the games I play. It's just that I really shouldn't expect a system as good as theirs, but the system here in Shiny still needs a lot of work, albeit this step that they're taking towards in the reward shop is a good step forward. We just need to know the specifics, because we don't know if it restocks every month, we don't know how much we need, or we don't know if this is just going to be like a one-time event only thing. We don't know.
No,
yeah, and I think that's true. I think one of the things we also have to consider as well is the fact that we don't know, as Renn said, we don't know the pricings for this. So it ultimately comes down to the question of who are the devs going to be targeting this update towards specifically? Because if these items are too expensive, then I feel it sort of defeats the purpose of adding them to the shop, because it feels like all of these items are geared towards not newer players, but lighter players, if that makes sense. So not necessarily players that are spending a boatload on the game, but are at least rolling when they can and they're accruing resources over time. Having access to an SSR ticket every once in a while isn't exactly a bad thing for the majority of players. It's really only for the players that have already been spending a lot and have most of the cards maxed out already where it feels a little less useful. So it all depends on how they price it, because if it's too expensive, then this is not going to go over super well, I feel.
Yeah, it's all about seeing which portion of the player base would use these rewards, because
for the sweet spot.
Yeah, for the top 5%, those tickets mean absolutely nothing. Like, they already have everything that these tickets would even give you. But for like I'd say probably like the middle 60%, or hell, not even 60%, like the middle 40% of the player base, these would matter a lot, because there are a couple like, so best case scenario is you trade in these gold gems or these gold pieces for a guaranteed SSR ticket, and it gives you a permanent PSSR that you've never had before. Boom, you just got 6k gems because it's true endable. Like, that is the best case scenario. So after that, we can now see that there's some resource gathering here. We can now see that there's a reward for, at least doing the bare minimum to get all the gems. So if it targets this player base, I'm cool with that.
Exactly.
So I think, is that all we have for the game news? Because there's a lot of talk about outside the game.
I mean, other than the current events going on right now, which you alluded to earlier, we have a new training event for a new mono card. We've got the Mamimi card and Meguru, who are in the gacha right now, which are interesting. They are permanent, which for people who have been following, we have slowed down on the limited train just this once.
Just slightly.
In reality, I'm sure the Mamimi producers are incredibly happy because, to give some small context, Mamimi hasn't seen a permanent card in over a year. In fact, I think the tracking time was about a year and a half.
A year and 3 months.
Gross.
3 months. So to go 15 months without a permanent card is kind of wild. So the fact that she finally has one means that Mamimi producers can either reliably say, okay, we can wait, but the fact that the banner has a spark means, hey, we can get it, and I can be happy to get more copies later. So, yeah, of course. So this just means that Mamimi 6 is going to be the next limited card again.
We take anything we get. We take those. All right. So the reason why most of the things that we're going to talk about Shiny is part in-game news and part non-in-game news, because there's a couple of interesting things that's going to happen to Shiny Colors outside of the game. Specifically for 2 units in particular, a lot more than the other units, but just Shiny as a whole. So, for context, I think if this probably isn't a hyperbole, but I think Shiny is the one branch that was hit by the pandemic the most in terms of momentum. Because they were looking forward to a lot of things like Shiny Second. They were supposed to announce Nocchill then. And then, Nocchill was supposed to perform already, and for the most part, Nocchill has not had a single chance to show up on stage until they announced Music Dawn. And what Music Dawn is, it is going to be, I think, Shiny's first ever streamed live that's going to be available online. And the specifics of this are actually quite good. Initially, we thought that this was going to be super exclusive. We thought that you'd have to jump through a whole lot of hoops to get to it. We thought
E Plus was going to get involved.
Yeah, holy crap. I am so thankful that there's no E Plus in any of this. I am so thankful that E Plus stayed the hell away from this. So what Music Dawn is, it's going to be an online event for the Idolmaster Shiny Colors on October... Is that October? No, it's September 31st and October... No.
October 31st and November 1st.
There we go. October 31st and November 1st. Yeah, I was right the first time. Dates are hard. So it's going to be on October 31st.
Get it, old man.
Jesus Christ.
What day is it?
Oh, I can't remember. I just woke up today. Anyway, it's October 31st and November 1st. And this is going to be a concert that is going to be available online. Now, how do you watch it? What you do is you go over to Asobi Store and you sign up on Asobi Store. If you already have a Bandai Namco ID, which you should have if you play Shiny Colors or any Idolmaster mobile game, then you use that Bandai Namco ID to...
Unless it's live on stage, in which case they just give you a code to transfer your data.
Sure, because that's how it works. You use those details to make your account on Asobi Store, and then you buy tickets from there. Boom, bam, bop. That's it. That's the entire process.
You literally just buy a ticket. It doesn't matter what region you're from. I can buy a ticket right now, and I live in the United States.
Yes, so what they'll do is they're going to give you a link. Now, here's my only one hint of doubt. The link might be region locked. They didn't say anything about it. But if they're going to allow people to buy tickets from any region, why would they region lock the link? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Just take your money and run?
Just take your money and run? That probably sounds like something they would do, but it also doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to allow people to buy tickets from a region they wouldn't give people the link to anyway. So I'm very confident that, since that you could buy the tickets from any region, you can watch it from any region. But here's the most important part. Again, like I just said, Nocchill has not performed yet. Now they will here on MusicDon. Granted, not all of them on day 2, which is kind of weird. But on day 1, they're all there. So you can go ahead and check that out. This is going to be very special because, one, it's special for 3 things. We may need to check the fine print on MusicDon. Maybe there's something that we missed. But from all the friends that I've been talking to, they don't think it's going to be region locked. Like, I'm talking to people from Thailand, Singapore, Korea. They're going to try and buy one, and it seems like there's nothing stopping them. So maybe we'll see the news by then.
One of our recurring members on here, he was able to buy a ticket.
Yeah,
and he lives in the eastern United States.
Yeah, he got one, no problems, and we'll just need to see because it'll be groundbreaking if we can just grab that link and watch it, because that means that Bandai Namco doesn't give a shit about where you are from anymore. You can just watch it. This is something that
money's money.
Yeah, money is money, especially in this time and day. They can take it. But as I said, it's going to be Nocchill's first performance. And while it may not be the performance they think they were going to do for their first performance, it's still their first performance. Nocchill has had because they're a very popular unit, even if they weren't given a proper reveal. Because they were given a reveal on a stream that was supposed to be Second Live, right? They were supposed to be properly revealed at a live. So Nocchill definitely...
Just like Starlight.
Yeah, just like Starlight. Like, whatever they did to Starlight, that was exactly what they were going to do to Nocchill. So Nocchill's first real appearance on stage is going to be on MusicDon. So that's why it's sort of important. The second thing, the reason why it's important is, it's a way for them to perform without having to do big in-personal lives. Which leads into my second point. Tokyo Idol Festival apparently invited them. Well, not all of them. It's Antika and Starlight. For those of you who don't know what Tokyo Idol Festival is, Tokyo Idol Festival, and I'm not an expert here. I am not a live expert by any means. This is like my weakest point of knowledge, but I may get some things right, I may get some things wrong. Tokyo Idol Festival is basically just this idol event where they get most people or most groups from both IRL backgrounds and now including 2D backgrounds, because now that Idolmaster's in it, you can't, Idolmaster is not considered an IRL idol series. It's just not. It's just Seiyu idols or whatever the term that they use, 2D, 3D. It's not an idol.
They're a bunch of cartoons.
Yeah, it's idol Seiyu groups. And cartoon idols, 2D idols, whatever. You got your Love Lives, because I think Nijigasaku's also there as well. VTuber idols are showing up. That's why you know it's not just IRL idols anymore. But again, Starlight and did I pronounce it wrong?
Yeah, you said Nijigasaku. It's Nijigasaku.
Fine, Nijigaku. I apologize. All the Setsuna fans are gonna try.
You know what? We'll take it.
Fine, we'll take those.
They're gonna chase your ass down the river.
All right, whatever.
Remember, it was Renn that said it, not us.
Starlight and Antika are going to be featured on Tokyo Idol Festival, which I think is great. They're going to be next to sister groups like the 48 groups. They're going to be next to groups like Perfume. It's a great step up for them because it just shows what people think about Starlight and Antika. Why it's not all of Shiny Colors, I'm not quite sure. Maybe they just wanted to get the ones that are most... Antika and Starlight are probably the ones they got because they're the most popular to outside fans, people who don't know Shiny Colors. When you mention Shiny Colors to them, maybe they're thinking, oh, I like those Antika girls, they look nice. Or Starlight was very popular in Bamco Festival, so let's just get them. So, it's either that, or it was because they were the only ones available, which makes sense because Nocchill is missing a couple of members. Sorry, one member in MusicDon. So it kind of makes sense why it's not all of them and it's just Starlight and Antika. But, it's not what we wanted. We really would have wanted everyone there. But, hey, getting at least a couple. When Million Live showed up in, Animello, they didn't invite all 52 of them. I can understand that. So, these new performances are the ways that the Shiny Colors team is trying to make up for their lack of live events. Because, as I said, one of the biggest blows of any idol series, any performing music series at all, is their lack of live events. And they're just trying to find ways to make up for the lack of money that you were supposed to have this year, but they just didn't. And I think this is great. Taking more steps to online performances and online events is just, Like, it benefits people not only because of the pandemic, but it also benefits people because we can watch and we don't need to fly. Like, half of the pain of going to events is flying there in the first place. If we can get rid of that, then I think we're going to be in the clear.
Now, to fill in a couple blanks that Renn left out for Tokyo Idol Festival, it's going to be held October 2nd through the 4th. And if you specifically want to tune in for Antika and Starlight, they are only going to be on day 1. The virtual tickets currently are going for 5,900 yen, plus tax. Mm-hmm. So a little over 6,000.
Mm-hmm. Not that respectable. It's a very respectable price if you ask me.
Yeah, I'd say so. But the important thing is that is per day. Now, if you want all 3 days, you get the small discount, which is 15,900 plus tax, so 16,000, as opposed to, what would that be, about 18,000 if you did every single day individually?
It'd be like 18.7.
Something like that, yeah.
Let me do the math. 5,900, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be around like 15.7, like 17.7.
Yeah, it's 17. Yeah, 17.7.
So you do get a discount. So if you're in it for Starlight and Antika, but you also kind of want to check out the other groups, go ahead and buy all 3, I guess.
Now, as for where to purchase it, I mean, some people have posted on different forums online as to like where they've been able to find it. You can try Asobi Store. You know, mileage may vary, it seems like, but if we find any good links for it, we'll probably have it included in the video. Who knows?
Who knows? If we can, we'd love to, so that people who want to try it out, because these are very important events. Like, if you like, we have to send them a positive like reception for these mediums of entertainment. Because if this isn't gonna work, then they're just not gonna do it anymore. And we need this to work so that we can have online events. We need Music Dawn to keep happening. We need stuff like, you know, the previous mentioned AR Lives at 24 Magic. We need things like Digitheater to succeed so that we can, you know, tell those entertainment companies that, hey, this will work. You can get money from this. Please do this. So
what's SideM's equivalent?
SideM's equivalent is probably going to be like after they decide like if they're going to include new stage episode, which gives us the perfect opportunity to swerve into
segue. There we go.
The segue to swerve into SideM and their portion of the podcast, because there were really, so there's one very exciting part, and then there's one very interesting and kind of funny part that happened. The second part's more on the general branch, but there's a specific shout out to a SideM character that we're gonna get. But we're gonna talk about New Stage episode first. New Stage episode was the unit-based CD that they promised that they were going to release, and as we expected, they are sort of kind of following the reverse starting line order, because we have who do we have? I think we have Mofu Mofu and Kogado.
It's Mofu Mofu and Kogado, so, which is funny considering that in starting line, Legenders and Flags were last. But whatever.
Well, maybe details. Okay, they just kind of like they debunked the previous thought of, oh, so that's who got it. So it's Mofu Mofu and Kogado, Jupiter and Cafe Parade. All right, sure.
That's a weird order.
So they're back in their usual units, because previously they kind of jumbled them up for World Treasure, and that while it was very
and Original Pieces was all solos.
Yeah, Original Pieces was all solos. They jumbled them up for World Treasure, and for what it's worth, World Treasure was really good. Fifth Aniv disc, I guess.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, anniversary discs tend to be like a one-time thing versus being like a full album series compared to World Treasure or Original Pieces.
Yeah, I mean, more like Fifth Aniv disc had, like, you know, there was a CD with multiple groups on it. Now it's one CD per group. That's what I'm talking about. That's the format I've been talking about. And for those of you who have not listened to the Kogado CD, if you like any shonen anime in general, you should listen to that CD. Like, it is an actual crime if you do not listen to the Kogado's recent CD. Yeah, so there's 3 drama tracks followed by a unit song and a unit version of Next Stage in every CD. And this reminds me of like the old, this really reminds me of old and like way back in the day All-Stars CD formats, where it'd be like chock full of drama tracks. Like if you...
The olden days!
Yeah, the olden days. If you went back in time to like when All Stars were the only branch and they would release CDs, those things were chock full of drama tracks. Now SideM is doing the exact same thing, and I think that's great. And it's also a great way for people to have exposition without, again, live events, because we don't have those. We just don't got those. These were probably planned to be MCs, right? Because if there's something that people don't know about SideM Lives tend to be more dance and MC based. Like, not on the level of Shiny, where Shiny would literally have a commune in the middle of the performance, but
still weird.
Look, it's unique, okay? Let them have
I know. It makes sense for the bridge, but TLDR, it kind of like had a little bit of an effect on the pacing of First Live, but that's neither here nor there. SideM.
Yeah, SideM has a lot of MCs in it, and there were a lot of times where they would like sort of like cut the performance midway, do a couple of MCs, then continue the song, which is great. That's why I think these trauma tracks are now here on the CDs, because they would have been material for MCs in the future lives or the previous lives that were canceled, but again, they got canceled. So these drama tracks, if you like them, they're definitely going to be on the CD. You can check them out. You can get some good story stuff there. But moving forward, this new stage episode, a lot of people had like a couple of they noticed a couple of things with like Fifth Anniv Disc, where they were trying to gravitate towards other types of music. Like Mermaid Fermata was like electronic along with classical, and then there was like Root of Evolution from Sem, which is basically Gundam the entire thing. So the new stage episode, they just Gundam the entire thing. So new stage episode, if you ask me, it's very interesting how they're going back to like a return to form. There's a return to form that's happening here, which I really, really like. It really gets me hyped up for my favorite groups. Jupiter, I really love Jupiter. I can't wait to see what they have. I can't wait to see what Altissimo, Sam, freaking Cafe Parade, I can't wait to see what they have. And what's great is that these seem to be releasing on schedule. Like, there was a couple of things in the awkward release of things like Grade 8 Wing or things like Million Theater Wave. Like, there are now CDs that are being lost. And for what it's worth...
Either CDs that are lost or CDs that are being so held back that ones that should have come out in 2020 are coming out in 2021.
Yeah, for what it's worth, we do now have those missing, Million Live CDs like Zweiglands and, Miracle Sonic X Passion show up. But they were like MIA since the start of the year. And that doesn't seem to be happening to SideM. It seems like, okay, now that we're on this track, we're going to go boom, 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 and we're done. So we're starting off with Mofu Mofu-en, we're starting off with Kogado, and it doesn't seem like they're going to run into any problems, which is great because, the branch that makes music that can beat BTS better have a proper schedule. So, that's great. All power to them. And all power to a specific person from...
Who's always in New Stage episode right here.
Yes, all power to a specific person, a specific member of the Kogado. One Mr., the man of the hour, Taiga Takeru. So, this is more of an all-branch thing, but I wanted to include this in the SideM portion. Mainly because, for those of you who don't know, there is an Animate collab, if I'm correct. There's an Animate collab.
Yes.
Yeah, so Animate is doing a collab with the Idolmaster 5 stars, and when we say Idolmaster 5 stars, we mean all the branches. So they're doing an Animate collab per location, and for each location, they are going to have a fair where they're going to feature idols either from that area or close to that area, or that are related to the activities that are regularly done in that area. Mm-hmm. So...
Which is why there are no All-Stars here, because none of the All-Stars are from any of those regions or have anything to do with those regions.
That is true. So in alignment with that, we have our first Animate lineup here, which involves, from Million Live, we have Hinata. From Shiny Colors, we have Kiriko and Yuika. From Cinderella Girls, we have Shizuku, Airi, and Akari. And from SideM, we have Takeru. Now, people were noticing something very, very strange about this lineup. First of all, there were like three things that they noticed that were weird. First of all, Shizuku is not that short. Like, they put up everyone next to each other, and like Takeru's taller than Shizuku, Yuika's super freaking tall. Yeah, which is not like a lot of these heights are not correct.
Akari and Airi are tiny.
Yeah, Akari and Airi are tiny, and then like Like Hinata, who's supposed to be kind of tiny, is like the same level of Kiriko when she's not supposed to be. But Takeru's like towering over everyone, which made him stick out a lot more than I think he expected to. Because
even though his whole thing is that he's a shorty for a boxer.
So if any of you remember the Tokyo Hands collab, where Jiro, Umi, Shiki, Asahi, and Yayoi showed up, we're thinking the exact same thing. Actually, we're not actually thinking. It's actually happening right now. The same thing is happening right now to Takeru, where as soon as they revealed the lineup and the key illustration for this Animate collab, everyone started showing off ideas or like thinking of different like scenarios as to what might happen to Takeru. And so Takeru overnight became this light novel protagonist who now has 6 like girls to choose from or something. Like he can't possibly have 6 sisters. There's fan art of like Takeru being the main character.
Takeru is now the main character of Tokimeki Memorial.
Like if you watch shows like freaking Miyamoto Can't Be This Cute, or like every romance anime that's like there's 3 of them every season. Like that's what Takeru looks like he's in right now. And it's really funny because whenever these cross-branch scenarios happen with the collaborations and whatnot, just because there's so many other girls, the person from SideM is always being put on the spotlight. You know, Jiro was the dad on the last one. Now Takeru's on the spotlight as the hero. So I think it's really cool. It's very funny to look at all the fan art that was spawned from it. It's very funny to see Takeru P's go like, oh no, which girl is he gonna choose? Is he gonna pick the senpai? Is he gonna pick because they were talking about Airi? Is he gonna pick the childhood friend or Yuika? Is he gonna pick one of the little sister types, either Akari or Hinata? And it's like very fun. It's one of the more heartwarming parts of like seeing all the producers from each branch like think of their own scenarios. And there's been lots of fan art already, and it's just one of my favorite things coming from this collab.
Who's the real little sister?
Oh, well, let's not get into that.
I was referring to Takeru's backstory. I don't know what you're thinking about.
Oh, yeah. Takeru... See, the weird thing is Takeru's backstory actually ties into this whole light novel scenario really, really well. So I guess that's why. But to continue on with the multi-branch news, along with some sort of SideM swerving, like we're gonna swerve back to SideM, in terms of like why they got more attention first. So on September 30th, if I'm correct, the 15th anniversary song Nandodemo Waraou is going to be actually officially released. Physical release, because it's been digital release forever, like for a long time now. But there's
will be digital release, I think, around the end of this week.
Yeah, by the end of this week, the 16th, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. They're going to release all 5 branch versions of it: All Stars, CG, SideM, Million Live, Shiny. That's all all of them at once, and it's going to be a momentous event. And to celebrate this momentous event, they're going to have a stream where they will cover the entire history of the Idolmaster's music discography. It's going to be a PV, actually. It's not a stream. It's like a special PV where they're going to make some call-outs to it. Now, one thing that's very, very interesting about Nandodemo Waraou in its entirety is that last Music on the Radio, when Tsubasa Kashiwagi showed up as the guest for Hibiki Ganaha's radio show, Nandodemo Waraou was included as one of the songs on the list. And people kind of noticed there was a little difference with the version that they played. Because what they played was the Dramatic Stars version, but there was a bunch of pitch shifts, and there were some changed lyrics, which makes me believe that there will be some specific lyrics per branch.
Mm-hmm. And the 15-man version is going to be the one with more universal lyrics.
Which, again, is like completely, like, that's an Idolmaster thing to do, right? You're going to have things that are personalized per branch, things that some characters can say and some characters won't say, because it's like, more in line towards them. Like, I'm willing to bet that the lyrics that they had for SideM was something like, their reason for being there. And then for AS, it's going to be more gratitude. For CG, it's going to be more individuality and, like, just like a more reflective form of the song in terms of who's singing it. Because, you got to remember that these CDs will have versions of them, will have versions per branch that have differences. So it'll be interesting to see which changes are going to happen to which branch. By the way, at the time of this recording, happy birthday, Shizuka Mogami. And
Yay!
yay. So when we see that, and we see the physical releases for all of the CDs, we want to see each difference. No, I'm not going to free roll in Starlight just yet. That's a lot less important than recording the show. Anyway, music history. Yeah, we're going to get music history, and we're going to see all the discography, and it's going to be a great time. And we want to see what they have, because we want to see... no, it's less important because it's always there. The show is a one-time thing. Anyway, we want to know what's going to be in the music history. We want to know what they're going to show off because, like, you know, we could see the evolutions of what songs might mean to some certain people, the evolution of, you know, different songs per branch, and who performed what, who performed when. And once we get that done, there's one last thing that we have to talk about. This one's a little hard to approach. This one, admittedly, is a little hard to approach.
Kind of out of nowhere, very weird that they're even doing it.
Okay, the last topic for today is going to be something that they revealed just last night, like the day before the recording of this video. Bandai Namco Festival, the second, has been confirmed for February 6th and 7th of 2021.
We're in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty much like the biggest elephant in the room right now. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Unless Japan has their shit together by February, a lot of people are worried on how exactly this is going to work. The big speculation that a lot of people have, and this relates to when we were talking about, you know, music festival, AR stage, all that crap, a lot of people feel like they're going to do something very similar. They're going to have it at Tokyo Dome, by the way, which you probably know Tokyo Dome. That place is freaking huge. Haruka's been alluding to it since 2005. They are doing it in Tokyo Dome. So people are speculating that to avoid having, like, I don't know, 55,000 people getting infected with COVID, they're probably doing it in that it's going to be a low attendance limit for Tokyo Dome. And the rest of it is going to be done digitally, kind of similar to like Music Dawn or 24 Hour Magic or something like that. That's what people are hoping they do, so that they're not stupid about it.
Yeah, so this is one of the more out-of-the-loop announcements that we've had for Idolmaster and like all the performing franchises in general, because all 5 branches of Idolmaster are there. Nijigaku and Aqua are there. Like, there's going to be like all Aikatsu branches are there. There's Gundam, and then there's Tales of series, and then there's one very, 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 very interesting inclusion. Something you probably guys don't even know about yet because it's going to be a franchise that's soon to be released. We have Denonbu, or the Electronic Music Club, which is going to be a new IP launched by Bandai Namco. It's not even released yet. Like, the thing doesn't even have, like, it's very recently announced. We're like at
It's freaking BB Tag and EVO 2018 again.
Yeah, that's like when they announced BB Tag and Grand Blue for EVO when they weren't even out yet. This is So to give you a perspective, Denonbu, if it were like a meal, we're literally trying to put the ingredients together first. Like, we're putting the ingredients of Denonbu on the table first. We're not even cooking it yet. Like, like they say it's gonna have a game because there were a lot of things alluding to the fact that there's game files, but we don't even have official confirmation about what kind of medium this is. All we know is that we have 6 characters, and they're already announced for Bandai Namco Festival. It took Stray like 9 months. It took Denonbu 4 months, which is...
friggin' Denonbu beat Stray Light's world record for the Tokyo Dome speedrun.
However, the important thing about Denonbu's inclusion is because just as we talked about, Denonbu is the like playground where Bandai Namco initially said that they are going to use their advanced entertainment technology, quotation marks, in. Now, they've already shown us like different ways they're going to use their technology, both in the stream and in their demonstration of like when they got that 3D character to move on the stream. And we think that the reason why Denonbu is here is because they are going to use that same technology for every other series. Now, this is just speculation because that's the way we want it to happen so that they don't cram 55,000 people into the same stadium. And we hope that that's what they do.
And just as a little side note, Denonbu's inclusion in Bandai Fest 2020 was kind of last minute to the point where the main producers and directors and seiyuu for Denonbu didn't even know it was happening until the very moment they announced it. So because of that, the freaking Denonbu staff had an impromptu stream where I swear to God, they went to the fucking basement, meat locker, whatever the fuck, of Bandai Namco's offices and said, hey, we're in Bandai Fest. Cool.
We had no idea we were going to go to Tokyo Dome as our very first performance. Wow. This is
nice.
This is both extremely exciting and extremely concerning at the same time. I personally am happy that if anything, the lineup for the second Banco Fest feels a little less varied because there's like all of Aikatsu, 2 Love Live series, all 5 Idolmaster series, and Denonbu. And then like there's not a lot of like non-idol things there. There's like Gundam and Tails, but like that's it. They might announce more.
Yeah, like, I was just about to say that. Like, this is the initial starting lineup. They could announce more series, which, hilariously, like, the funniest thing about Bandai Namco Festival last year was that you showed someone the cover. It's like, yes, my favorite idol groups, SideM, Million Live, Guilty Gears, freaking Code Geass.
Yeah, Code Geass. They announced Code Geass, and then they got Flow on the scene. But yeah, Banco Fest second is happening. They have a date and they have a venue. It's very concerning and very exciting at the same time. We just have to wait for what they're planning to do. I mean, there was an interview that was released lately about what Miyugawa and Harada and frickin' Gamipi want to do about improving Bandai Namco's electronic entertainment arsenal. And I sort of want to trust them on that, but at the same time, when higher-ups use very vague words like that, you just can't be sure, you know? Like, they could still try and do an IRL live that a company I dare not mention on that podcast try to do, which is just definitely not ideal. It's just not
Tekken 7 is 3. God.
Yeah.
Damn it. Don't remind us.
Imagine if they said online lives is 3. That's what Harada said.
Shut up.
Anyway, Banco Fest second. Exciting lineup. Very concerning date.
Very concerning timing, very concerning location.
What they should just do is just let us watch it online. Like, if MusicCon, if 24 Magic and Digitheater are going to be such a success, heck, 97,000 people lined up to watch Miki Hoshi on a table. Like, what more proof do they need that online lives are a thing? Come on, look around you. There's like hundreds of VTubers doing it. Why the hell don't you do it? So we just hope that they're like that they're going to put their money where their mouth is, both to protect the seiyus, protect the people performing, and to allow people who don't have the capacity to fly and travel, especially now, so that they don't need to go there to watch, because they're just leaving money on the table at that point. And whatever happens, Bandai Namco Fest second is something that we should be excited as Idolmaster fans, especially since now that we have a lot more songs, we could literally pop off with Chupacabra into Otahen Anthem, into Idol Berserker, into whatever madness they want afterwards. So, apart from that, I think we've covered all the topics that we want to have for the show. The end of the month is definitely going to be a lot more momentous because there's like a lot of things happening for the end of the month within the Idolmaster sphere. October and November feel like very open months where we could feel like there's a lot of surprises waiting for us. Because
I mean, the most that we have is the Dead Immediately collab is happening this winter, but that's about it.
This winter is like December to January. Like, we don't really think it's gonna be like.
It says winter 2020, so it could be by the end of this year. But then again, we could be running on Nintendo logic where freaking September is part of summer.
And along with that, we don't have any news about Digitheater yet. That's kind of why I wanted to opt out of talking about 765, because if I mentioned Digitheater, it'd be like, okay, they have a shirt for Digitheater.
Cool.
That's it. Cool. Like, yeah, nice shirt, bro. We'll just wait for the details. So
we're in its prom. Anyway.
Yeah, wearing the Digitheater shirt to the prom. But other than that, not much 765 news.
I do want to give like a special shout out to what could potentially be an avenue for announcements later this month. Potentially, and that's Tokyo Game Show, which is happening in a few weeks at the time of this recording. Now, usually in Tokyo Game Show, there is like a segment for like Idol Master content or like a special Idol Master mini live or a stream every year. But this year's Tokyo Game Show is really weird because, you know, what's going on with the pandemic, they had to convert all of TGS to online. And originally, what we thought BAMCO was going to do was that they were going to just have a live stream within TGS, and they're just going to show off Scarlet Nexus and Sora Online games. Okay, whatever, bam, boom, the most basic bitch thing you could ever do. And then earlier this week, Bandai Namco announced, hey, we're going to do what EA does at E3, and we're pretty much going to have our online stream during TGS, while also having things to show off during the main TGS stream, and it's like going to be 8 hours.
Monopoly.
So yeah, it's like we could potentially get news for IMAS.
I would put that at a 10%. I would put that at a 10% chance.
Yeah, it's a very low percent, and even if we do get something, it will probably be updates on Shiny and SideM, Million, Cinderella Girls. Definitely not Starlight season. I am not betting my money on that. Like no, I have heavy doubts that Starlight's going to be a TGS.
The reason why I don't think it's likely is because we already have all these events specific for the branches itself. Like they're already busy.
Yeah. I mean, like the only reason we have the 10% chance is because IMAS at TGS is tradition.
Yeah. So apart from that, I'd like to wrap up the show by saying we're gonna move forward to a lot of weird, uncertain days where ways to support the artists and the seiyuu are gonna be like opening up to us. Like if you have a chance to watch Music Dawn, please watch Music Dawn. If Digitheater is gonna be the same, same format, go ahead and please watch Digitheater if it's available to you. Watch shit like Music Dawn, Tokyo Idol Festival. Give Bandai Namco some positive enforcement that digital entertainment, that their efforts to make digital entertainment is going to pay off because they're the current leading company that's trying to do this. I don't see. Well, Sega kind of does have a leg up on them because Hatsune Miku existed way before any of this happened. So they can just immediately make Hatsune Miku. They can just okay, you know what? Hatsune Miku, anybody can watch her now. Like, it's probably like the Sega versus Namco arms race like the 90s. Good times. I can't wait to talk about Virtua Fighter again. But anyway, please go ahead and
the Project Sekai IMAS battle. Let's go.
If you have an avenue to support them, because these are something we're going to need in these trying times, please support digital entertainment. But for now, I'm going to have to end the podcast by saying that this was, again, not a lot of, it's exactly half the duration that the last one was. Because, again, there's not as much to talk about. But...
Thank God.
Wait. We forgot something.
Yes.
Oh, no. Here comes a new challenger.
You forgot about your destined rival.
Who? My what?
We forgot.
We had this on the notes, Goofy.
CDs.
Oh well, yeah. CD releases. I was talking about them on SideM.
Yeah, but you only talked about SideM.
Fine. Wow. That's exactly backwards about what Bandai Namco does. I only talked about SideM and didn't talk about the other branches.
We know where your allegiances lie. That's fine.
Okay. Fine. Sure. So. Grade 8 Wing, along with Million Theater Wave, now that I think about it, has had a rough schedule.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's so weird how... Because we found on the Lantis website that Viglans, Miracle Sonic Expression, and Floranges are now going to have their CDs come out. And this is in line with how Grade 8 Wing had to change up their schedule. Yeah. We're probably going to have to edit this in post. But
sorry,
it's totally fine. COVID is doing a number on the freaking physical releases of a lot of things.
Yeah, freaking Miracle Sonic X Passion, Zeta Taking Former, that came out way earlier this year. We're not getting that CD till 2 months from now. I wanted to make a joke that Million Theater Wave's release schedule is looking very Starlight Mastery, except there's actually an excuse for Million Theater Wave.
Yeah, because of the thing that everyone has to put up with. Do you want to know what the other non-Idol Master series have had to put up with? Like, you think Grade 8 Wing has it worse? I know a couple of franchises that are actually suffering from it. So Grade 8 Wing is at least like the very bottom.
It's at least coming out.
Yeah, at least it's coming out. I know a couple of franchises that had to cancel a couple of CDs. At least we're not them.
Yeah, at least we're getting our Stray Light content, our Noctil content, and our Chupacabras.
Yeah, we got all that.
We already got Chupacabras, thank God, a.k.a. the best anthem song of the year, don't at me.
By the way, when you go ahead and listen to the Noctil CD, I want people to try and notice if any of the seiyus sound different. Because there was someone who was trying to like make a reasoning that they tried to record the Noctil CD before all the studios shut down and whatnot. Then when the studio shut down, they were like, "Oh God, we gotta do this again because we have limited resources." Like, there might be some differences with the game version and the master version more than usual.
Yeah, aside from like just switching orders or some crap like that.
Yeah, so there might be like people, Twinkle Way. Yeah, Twinkle Way was like, it was done way before all of this happened, and Twinkle Way might have the same effect. So that's what's gonna like. It's fine. Like, it's perfectly fine if there's a couple of differences. I'm not expecting pristine quality because as long as you get the damn CD out, we're fine. We're gonna buy that legally and whatnot. Just as long as you get that out. We're not expecting we understand. Yeah.
Please understand.
Please understand.
Yeah, exactly. Now, as for them, of course, Grade 8 Wing 06, which is the Stray Light album, has been out. It's been out since middle of August, so you'll be able to find that wherever you need it. Grade 8 Wing 07, which is our Noctil album, is available digitally. It's not quite out yet as of the time of this recording physically. That's going to be released on the 16th.
The same week as Nandodemo Waraou, which... Have fun with that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be a big fight. Christ.
It's like Noctil's competing with the big multi-branch 15th anniversary song. I wish them the best.
Well, they had to...
Oh, yeah, that's true. So yeah, Itadate is out. So if you want the full versions of some of the later stuff, you're going to have to wait just a little bit. But...
Anohana no Yoni will still, it'll have to have some form of impact. Yeah, they are transparent, remember. They ain't going to hide nothing. They're going to drink water and talk about UFOs. That's what they're going to
do. Bro, aliens.
Yeah, concerning CDs, we have Spyglands, we have Floranges, and basically all the missing CDs. We have Gold Rush as well. I'm not very updated if things like, what's it, on CG's end, when will, because I think CG's,
Starlight Masters to the Next should be proceeding on schedule.
Yeah, because ever since they I don't think they're gonna return to that really. Oh, it's Gold Rush now. All right, sure. Because before they had a horrible delay. Whenever
God, I still will never understand why Starlight Master albums would take a year between event and release.
Which they fixed. Thank you very much. And I thought they were gonna return back to that when it was to the next, but then Gold Rush is now a thing. So we're fine. I think we've now moved past towards the whole thing about having physical releases being delayed by the pandemic. Because all branches seem to be just fine. SideM's on track. Freaking Grade 8 Wing will be on track as soon as we get past Noctil.
As soon as Grade 8 Wing finishes, we should be having a more normal schedule.
Yeah, and then Spyglands and the alls are gonna be releasing at the same time. We're finally over that hump of physical releases.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Am I done talking about my rival now?
I guess so.
All right. Any of that, after all that, final words. Would you have any final words?
No, aside from, this is a more calming month. What we're pretty much going to do with the podcast from now on, as Renn was alluding to earlier in the beginning, was that we're going to essentially move on to a more discussion model of every time there's something big, we're probably going to have something either the day of or the weekend of to stay a little more relevant so that we don't just all stockpile it by the end of the month. So we don't have like big 2-3 hour episodes of just like a bunch of bullshit, because last time was 2-3 hours of a bunch of bullshit. And it exhausted so many of us. It exhausted the hosts. It exhausted the chat a little bit. It especially exhausted our new editor. Like, props to him for going through all that. And that was like, what, his first or second like job, like editing the podcast. So good on you, man.
Shout outs to Aaron. Yeah. For those of you who don't like, I'd like to at least give a shout out. Cause this is not going to, previously we had people edit the podcast who were also the people who made the videos for the main channel. That's not going to happen anymore.
And before that was me.
Yeah, and that was even you. Like, we finally found someone who volunteered to be a regular. So thanks, Aaron.
Thank you so much. But yeah, we're probably going to move more to like if anything, our releases are going to be more frequent, but shorter in length.
Which is good for a podcast, because 2 hours is just way too much.
Yeah, like it's good for us especially because it could also help grow the channel. Because, hey, more content for people to stop by and watch, especially considering that, every time there's, like, something major that happens at Owlmaster, it's like, oh, we can rely on the IMAS subs channel to have something to discuss.
Right. And speaking of length, we're now on an hour and 20 minutes, which is the perfect time to cut it off. I want to thank everyone who tuned in to the show. Please, again, if you want to have more updates on the content moving forward, you can always count on us to have our own opinions and reviews about the content. And next time you see us, hopefully we'll have just as much to talk about. This has been the Idolmaster News Podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Also, I got nothing on my rolls.
Excuse me.